YouTube, welcome back. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Little bit of ups and downs from OpTic yesterday. So as we go ahead, hop into this one, we are on board with Scum. Scum plays great. This is the best map that they had against Minnesota, but the Scrim wasn't perfect. And the one that they played after this actually got a little bit worse. We'll talk about that more towards the end. But to start off against Minnesota, I think OpTic's probably the better team overall, but I think Minnesota is right in the middle of the pack when we're talking about these 5 hardpoint maps. First one, Garrison, OpTic came out and they lost the first one, 226, 250. Just came down to one rotation. They get that rotation, they win. That's kind of how a lot of these games go. However, the next map, Raid, they lost 136 to 250. And then they started to recover a little bit. So Checkmate, they've been playing fantastic on the last week or so. They won Checkmate 250, 227. Crossroads is another one where I kind of just figured they would struggle on, but they've been beating teams like Dallas, so they won that 250 to 131. Then this is, of course, the last map. Now, some of this also could have been, it just took them a little bit of time to get warmed up, right? They struggled the first 2 maps. After that, they came back. They played phenomenal in the last 3. And then the other part of this is I think most people would agree that Paris is in that bottom 3rd, bottom 4th of teams in the CDL right now. But they came out and they really stuck it to OpTic. The second Scrim was 189 to 250 on Garrison. The Raid was super close. It was 242 to 250. OpTic won the Checkmate, but that was the only map. They lost Crossroads 174 to 250, and they lost Moscow 210 to 250. So a lot of those maps were within 50 or 60 points. Basically, all of them were. But I don't know. It's just interesting to see with only 48 players in the Call of Duty League this year, there's not a lot of wiggle room there for a lot of teams. So all these teams are super close. I would expect to see quite a few upsets this year. But with that, let's talk about this one. So obviously, in terms of the strategy for this one so far, OpTic's just doing a great job. They did a nice job of slaying out inside of P1. They were able to hold spawns and get a lot of time inside of P2. And little bit of a weird rotation, but as they rotated towards P3, they were actually able to just kind of run along the top of the map and get over to P3, and that's usually not what happens. Normally, the course to hold down spawns for P3 is to rotate through mid or hit the bottom part of the map through P4. Once you get through bank, now you have those back spawns. So it was just different to see them push the top side of the map. Really, you saw Scump run through mid right here, actually the same exact hallway to get to P3. But normally teams like to clear out that bottom side of the map, and they didn't actually have to do that. So interesting take there, something that you don't normally see, but right now they've already got a 100-point lead. They started this map off perfectly. This has been historically, since Scrims started, this really has been the best map overall for Chicago. They've struggled a tiny bit against some of the better teams with really good ARs, but overall, I mean, they're just lights out on this map. So P4, again, back to some strategy talk. They're getting the bottom right-hand spawn. Really, all they have to do is try to actually. Looks like spawns are kind of all over the place. So we saw Scump spawn over towards P2. We just saw him spawn to the right of P4. So they're getting some time. Spawns kind of seem all over the place. This actually isn't the best. Where I was going with the previous point is that if they're spawning over on the left-hand side of P4, that's great because they've got a massive lead. And if they have that spawn for P2, then they can really just do everything that they can do to muddy up P1 and then get a ton of time inside of P2 and basically guarantee themselves a win. So this is where you get a little bit of a potential comeback. Formal there with a 2-piece. Obviously, we already know that it's not going to happen, but if Minnesota wouldn't have been able to get that time inside, that was almost a nasty kill there on attach there by Scump. But if Minnesota would have been able to get the time inside of P1, hold the spawns for P2, now you're looking at like a potential 70, 80-point swing, and then it would be a 20 or 30-point game. But OpTic did a nice job of just slaying out inside of P1. As they were slaying inside of P1, they rotated over towards the back of P2. Now they have these spawns, and it's just getting ugly from here. So with that, always like to listen and hear exactly what they're talking about. So let's listen into Chicago team comms as we're about to rotate over here towards P2, second set of rotations.
Run away, Brandon, run away. Don't
chop.
One mid then.
We're spawning out front Eskies.
Just run away and stay left.
They pushed me out. Back PD. Oh.
Looking back stairs to hill.
They spawn in the back, yeah. I'm hitting
Back stairs to hill, not peeking.
Keep
Back
shooting
stairs,
me.
the mark.
Yo, top PD.
Top PD.
Nice, go on.
Yes,
Got one
side door,
street.
side weak. Priest, you just killed me too.
Got him.
Nice.
Nice, good job. All dead.
Oh no, I'm flipping from.
Yeah,
That was a clean break.
I'm be searched.
Can we guys
I'm
push up?
looking mid, I'm looking mid.
Yeah, I'll push it out for you.
Yo, one
Middle,
behind me.
already
middle, blind
close.
spot, blind spot, one shot, blind spot, one
Already
shot, blind
close
spot,
mid.
Calling you, one shot.
Attached. Nice, good.
Calling blind spot, one shot, Calling blind spot, one shot.
We're spawning the back.
Someone
Spawning.
here.
Could be another one
Back
front.
up.
Could be another one
Gotta
front,
be
guys.
search.
Yeah, you guys are push out, you guys push
I'm
out.
going street.
I'm running out front.
I'm seeing blind spot.
Wait, mid either.
It's probably
Nico's
mid.
get spawning out, Nico's get spawning out.
I'm in rat right now.
Yeah, I'm mid right now. I don't see shit.
Yeah, you want to hit the
Don't
back
rat
though?
at me.
Want to hit the back?
In rat dead. He's gonna be bust probably.
I'm sliding across.
Side.
One spawned out, one spawned
Yo,
out.
elbow,
Bust an elbow,
elbow.
bust an elbow. Just.
I will say here on this rotation that's happening currently, again, they ran through mid, and I'm a little bit surprised. Perhaps once Minnesota goes back and watches this VOD, they'll be able to see how, in fact, Chicago was getting through. But I'm a little bit surprised that there isn't more pressure over towards the bank side of the map. We did see 2 kills come down there, and Priesta was kind of out on an island. But there really wasn't a ton of resistance there out of Minnesota to stop that rotation from Chicago. They're really just running through this mid hallway and able to get through the back. So my guess would be if they went back, they were able to watch this, they would move things around a little bit. But it's easier to stop that rotation if you get it kind of in that elbow area than letting it get all the way towards the back. Let's go ahead. Let's listen in.
What's the book says? They're spawning. I think back. Fucking.
I'm just rotating.
I
think
actually. Yeah, SUs.
Did somebody push out?
I'm wanting P2. I'm wanting P2, guys.
One's back wood.
Watch out. Yo, hold red bar or hold like bar.
Yeah, I got you.
Street on me, major. Street dead. Street dead.
I hear one sliding there mid.
I'm watching over you, Bruce.
I think back. Yo, one's
I'm
back.
still
Press.
on
I
Press.
have a
Are you guys
Yo,
looking
look up,
back?
Bruce. Look up, Bruce.
What?
Go.
One shot on red.
I'm pushing on P2.
He could jump up rat. Outbook or bank her.
Okay.
Another one there.
Maybe 2. Could be
Another
3.
rat then.
Actually, up.
Nice, 3,
Another
3.
rat. Last guy.
Did
Just
you
stay
jump in
bank.
it?
Stay bank.
Okay.
P3
Looking window,
spawns.
looking
P3
window.
spawns.
Hear
Matt,
that,
hold
hear
us.
that, hear that. Yeah,
Rat
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
challenge.
They're gonna be elbow me. They're shooting my feet,
Yo,
bro.
push
I'm
through,
pushing up.
through,
I'm
push
pushing
through.
up. Yeah, I got you.
Shot
Middle
my feet,
priest.
major.
One
There's
shot at the
two.
planner,
Two
at the planner
pillars.
priest.
2 pillars.
Turn
One more
up,
pillars.
I need your pillars.
Turn up, beat on.
I need your pillars though.
He's one shot pillars and then one rat. Rat jumped up.
Rat and hill, yeah.
I got one, I got one.
Rat and bust.
Bust Lamar. Absolute. Hit him 3 times in the head.
And the last thing that I'll mention here as this comes to a close, you've now seen a couple times in a row where Minnesota was able to recover, gain rotations, get new spawns, and then they just got broke. The same thing just happened right there as Scump gets a nasty 2-piece, but they were set up. Minnesota was set up inside of P4 there, and OpTic was just able to push through, get multiple kills, win the game. Well, there's 5 seconds left, but essentially win the game there, whereas normally, like on the P2 rotation, second set there, so Scump goes 24 and 18, but second set of rotations right there, Minnesota could have come back on P1. They could have held back for P2, and they just got broke, and that happened multiple times, which results in a 250 to 102 victory. You see the score right there. Scump goes 3,600 in terms of damage, Envoy 4,200, and Formal 4,300 out of damage. And overall, sometimes they look great yesterday, sometimes they didn't. So it really just depends on the day. Normally, the last week or two, they've been looking pretty good. Top 1, top 2, top 3 definitely in the game. Yesterday cooled off a little bit, but over the course of the entirety of a season, that's expected to happen. I will be interested to see how exactly does Minnesota bounce back from that, because they did have a big win over Toronto on launch weekend, but just expect maybe a little bit more out of them. So if you guys are new around here, you enjoy this sort of content, make sure you go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I put out brand new videos like this every single day. Leave a like if you don't mind, as it really helps out the channel, helps promote the channel, stuff like that. And with that, thank you guys so much. We'll see you in tomorrow's upload.